There's no question that virtual tours have become a trending topic in 2021. Because of the pandemic, everything's closed and you can't go outside and have experiences you used to be able to have very easily, which is why there's been an increased demand in virtual tours. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. Because if you're someone that wants to get started shooting professionally, but you haven't yet decided on which virtual tour software you're going to use, today I'm going to give you a very convincing argument. And if you saw my previous comparison video covering 16 of the top virtual tour softwares out there, you'll have seen that Kuula was my software of choice. Even though it's not technically the best software out there, it's not the most advanced, for me it shines through as my favorite for a number of reasons. Firstly, the price. It's one of the cheapest virtual tour softwares out there that give you the full capability of constructing a full professional virtual tour. It has a great set of features included in the packages as well as inside the virtual tour editor. You can make your virtual tours at lightning speed. I really love the way Kuula displays the photos. It has probably the best photo viewer of all the softwares I've used. Comes with unlimited hosting, which means you can make as many virtual tours as you want and you still pay the exact same price. And the icing on the cake is that with Kuula, even though I do consider it a virtual tour editor for beginners, you can do some pretty pro stuff inside of it, and it doesn't require a steep learning curve. There are so many softwares out there, so many of them have so many great features, but they do require a serious learning curve. With Kuula, you can pick it up in just a few hours, if not a few minutes. So if you're someone just getting started with virtual tours and you want to level up your game quickly without a steep learning curve, you want to pay close attention. Okay, so here I am on the Kuula homepage. I will link it down below. And yeah, Kuula, that is a weird name. I have no idea why they called it Kuula, but there you go. Maybe it's cooler than the other softwares. Anyway, so going into the virtual tour editor, once you've signed up for Kuula, I'm going to go upload, create tour. I'm going to give my tour a name. It is the Newtowner. And I've also given my tour a description, and I'll upload my images. You can rename your photos at this stage if you so wish. It's a good idea to reorder your shots roughly in the sequence you want people to navigate. So I know I'm going to start in the living room. So I'm going to start at the living room photo there, and kitchen, balcony, and so on. Next, I'm going to go across to tour settings. I'm going to change the privacy to unlisted while I edit the tour, just in case someone happens to be browsing through Kuula and they click onto my profile and see the work in progress tour. I just want to make it not public for now. Now up the top right, I'm going to hit post. And here we are inside the virtual tour editor. By default, it starts in viewing mode where you can't edit anything or add hotspots. So what we're going to do is click the edit icon up the top right. Now we've got the ability to edit. So now that we're in the virtual tour editor, we can navigate through our shots photo by photo. And in the right-hand menu, we have our photo editing options. So while I absolutely wouldn't recommend color correcting your photos in a virtual tour software, it can be handy for adding final little color corrections that you mightn't have noticed in your initial edits, and you don't want to have to go all the way back to Photoshop or Affinity Photo. But say you want to make it a little bit warmer, a little bit cooler, a little bit more contrast. And you can also change the intensity of the filter. So there's my original. And if I wanted to make it a bit warmer, I could set it to 40%. Likewise, there's HDR tone mapping if your image is really contrasty, and there's an option to increase sharpness. I probably wouldn't recommend this, but it does an okay job. One effect that I really do like is the sun and lens flare effect. And this is exactly what it sounds like. Click the button and choose a spot to place it, and it simulates a real life lens flare, which is really cool. And this effect works well with any light overhead, and also you can put it wherever the sun might be. So there we've clearly got the sun coming in through the window. So when people are navigating this 360 photo, it's just a nice effect to add to the sense of atmosphere. You can customize it a little bit. I always turn the intensity down to 0% because the lens flare is still there. It just reduces the overexposure in the area around the flare. Next is zoom settings, and this is basically how far people can zoom in. If you're shooting with a 360 camera that doesn't have a lot of resolution, you want to discourage people from zooming in too far, which is where adding zoom limits comes in really handy. So if you want the maximum level of zoom to be there, then you can set that to the maximum zoom. Likewise, you don't always want people going all the way out because it creates that fisheye look. Even though it looks good in the middle of the frame, you'll see on both sides that everything is highly exaggerated. So I found zoom parameters that I'm happy with. This is all the way zoomed in and that's all the way zoomed out. It's just a slight zoom, but it's enough to get a slightly different perspective. Next, you can set a pitch limit, and what the pitch is up and down. So if you don't want people looking too far up or too far down, maybe you've got a tripod in shot or the stitching wasn't so good down below, you can stop people from looking all the way down. So if I set the pitch limit to 80 degrees, suddenly I can't go any further down. I'm trying, but there's a limit there. And likewise, when I look up, I can't look all the way up. Next is level correction, and this one is really handy because if your shot was even 1 degree off perfectly horizontal, it can be enough to make your shot pretty disorienting. Well, with this, it basically straightens out your horizon. Often I might change this by 1 or 2 degrees. I always make sure they're straight when I shoot, but sometimes you accidentally shoot it off level. Next is the fun part, and that is adding hotspots. And doing this is super quick with Kuula. So as you can see down here, we have the thumbnails of each of our different rooms and shots. And all you need to do is find the shot that you want to link to. I want to link to the kitchen and put it right here. So all I'm going to do is drag that over to here and voila, there we go. A hotspot has been created. That took 1 second. Likewise, I've got a view of another hotspot, which is on the balcony. So I'm going to drag the balcony photo over to there. Now I'm going to hit save, and always make sure you hit save on a regular basis, by the way. Rinse and repeat with your entire tour. And we're done. Just connected up 11 photos in about 10 minutes, and each photo is connected to 2, if not 3 or 4 other shots. So that was really quick. Normally when connecting up hotspots, it can take a long time, sometimes up to an hour, depending on the virtual tour editor you're using. Now we're going to preview our handiwork, and to do that, we're going to hit close, and that moves us into viewing mode. So now we can click the hotspots and it takes us around the tour as if we were the end viewer interacting with this virtual tour. Now here are 2 ways to make virtual tour navigation smoother in Kuula. The first one is, I don't know if you noticed, but when navigating just now, when I clicked a hotspot, you would see the orientation of the photo change. So that was not smooth. I moved from one shot to the next and suddenly the rotation turned around back towards the door. Whereas obviously we want that to be a smooth, consistent walkthrough experience. Well, we can fix that. In the bottom right, I'm going to choose Edit Tour, which brings us back to our original screen with our tour settings. And what we're going to do is enable walkthrough mode. When I hit save and go back to the editor, suddenly the orientation is consistent in the direction we're moving. The next feature for smooth navigation is Click Anywhere. And what this does is it creates a bigger field of clickability. So you don't have to hit the icon precisely, but I could click here and it navigates to the next photo. And likewise here, there you go. This is definitely handy for faster navigation. And say I want to go all the way here, I can just click that and there I am. Or another way of approaching this, if I go back into my editor, let's say this is too many hotspots, but I still want to take advantage of this Click Anywhere feature. What I'm going to do is keep that hotspot there, but I'm going to change the opacity to 0. So when I save that, suddenly there's only one hotspot, but when I click here in this general direction, it takes me straight there without there having been a visible hotspot here. So if you want to keep your hotspot options minimal, yet still make your tour easier to navigate, if people do click off into the distance, you're still giving them that option. It's just not visible. Now I want to talk quickly about hotspot customization. Kuula has a bunch of inbuilt icons you can choose. Maybe you prefer an arrow there or something else. Maybe you've got a drone shot or you want to use a different color. You can use one of these inbuilt icons, or you can upload your own custom icon if you prefer. But I'm going to go with simple white. You can change the size, rotation, and opacity of your hotspots. So if you have a hotspot that's a little bit further away, you might want to make it a little bit smaller. As you can see, I've also selected floor for all of my hotspots. This means it basically lays it flat against the floor, but you don't have to do that. If you want your hotspot, let's say here, and you want it to just be a flat circle, then you just turn the floor off. And you can also add text if you like, but I'm not going to. I like the floor perspective, so I'm going back with how it was originally. This brings me to informational hotspots or informational cards. So let's say you want to draw attention to one specific detail within your scene. You add hotspots in a very similar way. So obviously we're not linking to another photo, but let's say we want to add an informational spot here and tell people that in fact this place does have Wi-Fi and that this is just decorative art. All I'm going to do is change the image to an information icon. To add basic text to this hotspot, I'm going to write my message. I've said, don't worry, the property does have Wi-Fi. This is just decorative artwork. I'm going to change the color to black so it contrasts the white wall, and I'm going to choose only hover. So when I save that and I'm back in the virtual tour navigator, when I hover, up comes my message. Now let's say we want to add a slightly more advanced hotspot. I'm going to follow the same process as before. I'm going to place it on the TV this time, but this time I want a photo and some further information to show up. So under my hotspot settings this time, I'm going to choose a click action. And here we can choose go to another post, which is another photo, open a card, open a URL, or play a sound. I'm going to choose open a card. Now edit card, and I'm simply going to add an image that I've already downloaded, which is this logo of our local cable service in Australia. It's called Foxtel, and I'm going to write a bit of text to explain what it is. There we go. Now I'm going to hit save. So when I go back to the navigator, when I click this informational hotspot, up comes the Foxtel logo and a little bit of information down there. Likewise, you can also add a video URL. Maybe it's a YouTube video you want to link. Basically anything that is online, you should be able to link into these hotspots. So there I've copied and pasted a YouTube URL. So there you go. If you have any other interesting features within your location, add a hotspot as I just did. Okay, so once you've fully edited your tour, it's time to share. And the easiest way to share is by hitting the share button, and it gives us the option to share directly to Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, or save a snapshot for Instagram. But first I want to customize the final output a little bit more. So I'm going to hit get link or embed code, and that takes us to the export editor. So what this does is it customizes the player of your virtual tour. So if you want to add custom things to the actual physical display window, you do that here. And by physical, I meant digital, but you know. So one of the more important things on this screen is branding. And by default, it chooses the Kuula logo, but if you're a pro member, then you can add your own logo. So I've uploaded my Virtual Tour Pro logo there. You can increase the size so it's nice and visible. And there's also an option to show contact card. You can show a contact card if you want to add a few more details to the top left corner, like name, location, phone number. If this was a place for sale, you're adding those extra details that will show up at the top left every time someone opens and views this tour. You can turn on auto rotate, so when someone opens up the tour, it starts rotating the photo automatically. And you can change the speed for that. It can be really fast, really slow, or in the other direction. And there are a few options for customizing the autoplay right there. When you're happy with the appearance of the player, all you need to do is copy and paste the link. So we've got an iframe embed code here. If we want to put it on a website, there is a custom link that you can copy and paste into an internet browser, as well as an MLS sharing link. I'll link my final tour down below because I'm sure you're curious to see how it turned out. And that's it. That's Kuula. I really like Kuula a lot. Like I said at the start, I don't think it's the most technical, advanced virtual tour software out there. It's definitely not, but I like it because it delivers the most amount of value and has the most amount of pro features in a really cheap and simple to learn virtual tour editor. Can you use Kuula for paid work? Absolutely. I've done many paid shoots using Kuula, and so have so many of my virtual tour pro students. They love it, and it's a great entry point into the professional world of virtual tours. I wouldn't use Kuula forever, but I would when you're in the beginner to intermediate stages and you're starting to work with paid clients. Then when you bring in bigger, high-paying clients, that's when I'd use more advanced softwares like 3D Adobe Vista, Pano 2 VR, and KR Pano. And if you want to know how I use Kuula professionally with real paid clients, then I break down my entire workflow for shooting, editing, pitching, and winning clients inside my Virtual Tour Pro course. I'll link that down below. And that's it. Let me know what you think of Kuula. Are you sold, or are you gonna go with something else? Let me know down there. Peace.